You're listening to the Moody Mommies podcast.
Audio warning. You may or may not hear kids screaming and yelling in the background, or us screaming or yelling at them to keep it together.
Okay, guys, and we're back.
Vanessa's back with us.
I'm here.
And we are going to continue our conversation. So if you missed our episode 2 weeks ago with Vanessa, who is my cousin-in-law.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess that'd be the proper way to say it.
Yes.
She's my husband's cousin. So now she's my cousin now.
But we're like sister moms.
Right? We're like, yeah, we're all sister moms.
Yeah.
Mom squad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So like I said, if you missed last one, go back and then catch up with this one. We'll be waiting. Oh my god, I forgot to tell you yesterday when she got annoyed that nobody was paying attention to her when she was trying to say her thank yous at Thanksgiving.
Oh,
She's like, you guys, nobody's listening to me. And she's like, I'm so thankful for my mommy for teaching me things.
Oh, what a sweetie.
Oh, my baby.
And then she was saying a bunch of stuff that she was thankful for, but it was so funny.
Yeah.
And I'm like, everybody's talking to Olivia. It's okay. You can
Yeah.
just say what you're thankful
Aw,
for.
my baby.
I'm so
Yeah.
thankful for my mommy, and she just teaches me so many things.
Yeah, and she
So
she taught me a lot of things too, and I think that like one of the transitions that I went through emotionally when I got pregnant with Allegra, I was excited because she was planned. We planned to have her, and so we were expecting soon, and so it happened. But then, like after a couple months, when it started to settle in that like we were no longer going to be 3 anymore, it just like I was sad for like a good while.
Yeah.
And like there was a big part of me, I didn't know what the sex of the baby was yet, so there was still, the connection was still not that close, because I had just found out and we didn't know what it was, so it was just kind of there that I was pregnant. But like I think it's kind of like I was reading an article about when you get pregnant with your second child, or even your third, like anything after the first, that you kind of like go through like a mourning. And it's true. And I feel like I did go through that because I was like mourning what I was going to be losing, which was just Olivia.
Yeah.
And there was like so many times, I don't want to cry, but there was like there were so many times that like I really just, I wanted to hug her and I just wanted to hold her and tell her that she was my favorite, but then I stopped myself and I would say like, no, don't say that. Like, it's not fair because you haven't met the baby yet. And just don't say that. It's not fair. So I had to find something that was fitting. And so what I found was, and what I always tell her is I always hold her and I always whisper in her ear that she's always going to be my first baby. And it's true. And a lot of what I learned was because of her. So before I had Allegra, I told her that. I said, you taught me how to be a mommy. And she really did. She was the beginning of everything, and I know it's like a joke that we always say, the first one is like, what do they say? The guinea pig, right? The first one's the guinea pig, and it's true. But look at all the things that my guinea pig has learned, and that I've learned because of her. And so I told her, I said, you have done a lot of things for your sister already, and you don't even know it. And she really has, because the second time around, I already knew a lot and I didn't have to practice and go through it and perfect it. And because it's already perfected now the second time.
You're going to have, no mom, like, I know this word.
Yeah.
Like, don't tell me not to do this.
I got it.
Yeah, and that was another transition that we went through too. And the second time, speaking of mourning, I think that my mom mourned a little bit. Because
she was not needed as much.
Yeah, she wasn't needed as much. Like the first bath, we did it, and she was just like hovering and hovering and hovering, and it killed me inside to know that, like, because I really wanted to say like, it's okay, mom, like, do it, here, like, you can do it.
Yeah.
But then I was like, no, like, this is my baby,
your moment,
and I know how to do it, and it's my moment, and I want to do it, and so I just kind of had to just be a little bit selfish and do it because it was my baby, you know. And I just had to tell myself, like, no, she had her 3 babies and she had her moments, you know, and now these are mine. But yeah. So.
I always think about that too, like whenever we're thinking about having another baby, I'm like, oh, but then like, look at, we just fit the 3 of us in this bed, or...
But then you'll fit the 4 of you perfect.
You will.
Yeah.
It'll be a little tight, but...
We might need a little bit of a bigger bed, but we'll figure it out. Ernest, like, the other day, his sister slept over, so we slept on the floor, the 3 of us, and she slept on her bed, and Ernest like, I like sleeping on the floor, my back feels so much better. So the next night, just me and Justine slept on the bed, and he was on the floor, and he's like, I'm like, this is the transition where you stop sleeping in bed with us.
It totally is. This is when you guys become Scott and Courtney, like the rest of us.
I know. He's just like, no. He's like, well, yeah, if you're going to want to be freaking sleeping with the kids all the time. And I'm like,
that's me.
No, thank you. Yeah. Well, that's me right now. You stopped breastfeeding, right? Or you still?
I
Well, I'm still, and it's just like, no, like take her out of the bed, like go put her in her playpen. But then he's like, oh no, but then I gotta get up to go get her as soon as she cries. And I'm like, well, what do you want? Like, do you want to be like the lesser of 2 evils here? You want to be stuck on the edge of the bed for a whole year, or do you want to get up 3 or 4 times to go get her? To move her back and forth. Nah, I'll just stay on the corner. Okay, then I just won't get any sleep.
Less movement. You just like move them away from you. You don't have to actually get
okay,
up.
It's fine then. I'll just wake up like a pretzel. It's fine.
Should we move her? I like even thinking about how I want to record how we sleep because we are
gosh, my mom says that all the time. She's like, I want to put like your GoPro in your room one night and just laugh at you guys. Like, she's like, it's so funny. I'll wake up and like you guys are just all over sometimes the kids are in your bed. All four of us are in there, or like the kids are in our bed and me and Joey are over there, or it's just me and the girls and Joey's over there. It's just always, you never know. Like I wake up and I'm like, where am I? Like, where am I? Where am I?
Oh, yeah.
It's a mess. It's crazy. Because they come looking for me like all night long. Like I'll
get up and walk across.
Yes, walk across the hall and look for me.
Oh wow!
I fell asleep, just me and Joey last night. I woke up with all 4 of us in the bed.
Oh wow!
And they go sleep on like my neck and like here, so I'm like sleeping with children, just like
glued
a
to
sandwich.
You. I know. Wow! And they go right back to sleep. Oh, good.
Hop in bed with me and just knock right out. And I'm
like, don't worry, Mom. Not a problem. I'll go right back to bed.
Yeah, they're crazies. Little babies.
You know, and I'm glad that you guys both have second kids so that I could be like, what do I do?
Yeah. See?
What do I do?
Yeah. See, we're here to help again.
Yeah. What do you
Vanessa
know?
squared.
Doing all your homework for you.
I know.
Yeah. Don't worry, I already looked it up.
Don't worry, we did the research for you.
It's gonna be normal that I'm mourning this kid.
Don't worry.
Everything's normal, we promise.
Yeah. Cindy told me something the other day because I was saying how right now, like, I get overwhelmed, like, pretty easy, so I feel like it's perfect that I just have one, you know?
Yeah.
Like, if I get overwhelmed, I can just walk away from her, and, like, she's gonna be fine. She's big enough now. And I'm so scared to, like, what if I have another baby and I just feel like, why did I do this? Like, why did I do this? This is so crazy. Like,
it's too much. Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you. There might be milliseconds that you are going to think that and you are going to feel that. But they're just moments, you know?
But Cindy was telling me, like, everybody feels that way.
Yeah, everybody does feel that way.
And I was just like,
you just don't say it. You don't say it, but you feel that way.
You do.
Yeah.
You're just like,
but then I was like, but why? Like, why am I going to put myself in the position to feel that way? You know, like, why can't I just feel good about being a mom the whole time?
Yeah.
And feel like I got this. Like, it's only one kid. I can handle this. Like, why make myself
crazy?
Yeah.
But I think it gives you more to be, like, proud of. Like, once you make it through those milestones.
Yeah.
It gives you more to be proud of because you're like, remember when I was feeling like that, and look at how much you've accomplished.
Yeah.
You know? Or look at how much my kid has accomplished.
Yeah.
I feel like that all the time when I think back about, like, our first days home from the hospital, me and Luna, and I think about my first days home from the hospital with Zoe and how I didn't really educate myself. I didn't really do the homework because she was my first baby. I thought, I'm just going to come home and just know everything to do. Like, it's just natural. Like, I'm a woman. Like, I was born for this, you know? And I was so wrong. And with Luna, I knew, like, I'm going to make sure I educate myself. I'm going to make sure that I'm not going to give up, because I gave up so easy the first time, now that I think back, you know? And I think about, like, oh my gosh, like, I was so proud of myself. Like, 6 weeks, we've been breastfeeding for 6 weeks. Like, I was so proud of myself. And then now I think back, like, oh my gosh, I did that for 20 months.
Yeah.
Like 20 months. And I didn't think I was going to make it out the first week.
You don't.
You know?
Like the first,
You have those moments where you just like feel like, oh my gosh, like, especially breastfeeding is such a struggle.
It is. It's a really big task. I think it really is. And it's
harder when you're breastfeeding and you have another child that wants and needs, and you already feel like you
and yours were little.
Mine are really little.
Like, Olivia was already, like, way past breastfeeding when I started to nurse Allegra. So, I mean, that wasn't something that I worried about. But, yeah, Zoe was little.
Yeah, really little. So, I mean, I feel like you having a second child, it's not going to be as crazy as mine. Yeah, Justine's already bigger. You're not, you know. So, don't let it scare you too much, because it's going to be crazy beautiful, like I said. You know, it'll have its little moments, but you'll get past them.
And so the thing, I know you were talking about, you felt like you didn't have a lot of support with the things you wanted to teach Olivia. I felt like if I would have just had my mom, it probably would have been a little bit more difficult, because, like, she's different. It's a different generation. Mm-hmm. They taught us from the TV. But, like, I had you to look at, and then, you know, Ernie took some classes on early childhood education before, so he kind of already knew what the drill was, and his sister, like, worked in that too. So I had everybody that was telling me, like, this is the way to go. Like, this is the good thing to do. And I'm like, then I felt like everybody's going to be judging me. Like, I'm not doing it right. Mm-hmm. Like, they know what I'm supposed to be doing. I didn't take these classes. Am I doing it wrong? And then I felt like, you know what? Like you're saying, like, I'm the expert to my own kid. And it's like, I'm gonna figure it out. Like, this is my home. If I'm okay with this behavior, then that's what it's gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, like, some stuff, you know, like, Olivia's so sweet and so kind, and she's never rude. Well, at least to us. But, like, my kid is, like, crazy, and I'm just like, this is who I created.
Yeah.
This is who I let her become.
But a lot of it is also their temperament, you know? Like, that's who they are as kids. And I think that we have to be respectful of it and embrace it, you know? Because, like, you were talking about judging all the time. Like, that's, like, us all the time, and me always worrying about, like, who's gonna say what. And I got a lot of it at home, and I still get a lot of it. But I guess, like as time has gone on, I've started to notice that, like, my mom is quieter and quieter, and she just doesn't say anything. And I remember when I brought Allegra home, like, she was still trying to hover for a little while. And she would still make comments here and there. Like, Allegra would cry, or she would need something, and she'd walk by, and she would just kind of like say something that was like I didn't have her approval, and it was just like, well, I told you to do this, like, well,
that I told you so.
I told you so, like, oh, well, I know better, kind of thing. Until one day, I remember, like, we stopped talking for, like, maybe 3 months. Like, and we live in the same house. And we weren't. It's a long time.
It's very awkward and uncomfortable.
It's super awkward and super uncomfortable. And we stopped talking because I had a parenting plan, and she just didn't agree with it. And one of my biggest things was that I did not want to give her a pacifier. Like, I was just like, no pacifier. Like, there's no reason for it. I think with Olivia, I struggled a lot in the beginning with breastfeeding because I gave her pacifier right away. And that was just something that was passed down. You know, that was just like my mom said, and she gave us all a pacifier, and we're just going to do it. It's
part of being a baby. It's one of the gadgets they need.
It's what they need. And my mom said she needs it because she's a baby, and so, I'm going to give it to her. And I gave it to her. But then I struggled so much with breastfeeding. So then the second time around, I did a lot more research. And I was just like, okay, like, no pacifier at all. And I was like, okay, can I really do it? Like, I don't know if I can do it. It's like breastfeeding at the beginning. Like, your very first time, you're like, I don't know if I can do it. And then, like, the nurse brings you formula. And they're like, just in case, right? And so I told myself, like, well, I don't know. Like, what about that just in case? But then I was like, no, like if I don't have it, then there's not going to be a just in case. Like I'll just have to just do without it. Yeah. So that's what I did. And then my mom asked me after like, I think it was like a week that we were home. She's like, you're not going to give her a pacifier. And I said, like, I didn't know how to tell her no. Like, I don't want to, because I was already tired of hearing like all the judgments and all the I told you so's. So I didn't know how to tell her that. So I was like, what am I going to like blame it on? Like I have to have like some
a good backup.
Like a good backup so that she'll just like accept
Leave
it.
Alone.
Yeah. So I was like, well, the nurse said that I can't, because if I give it to her, she might not want to breastfeed anymore. And she was just like, okay. And she's like, so she just said not to give her one. And I said, well, she just said like, you know, for like a month or so, or like 6 weeks not to give her one. And she was like, oh, okay, well, I bought it, so here it is. And I was just like,
it's there.
Okay.
The safety net was there.
So I was like, okay. And I just kind of smiled. And she took it to her room, and whatever, it was out of sight, out of mind, right? So I was like, whatever. And then she was like 2.5 months old. And at this point, it was like, okay, just make sure she's not like with her long enough to give her the pacifier. So I'd go and get her back. And then one day we're having dinner, and me and Juan were eating. And she came out into the room. She was playing with the baby in her room. And she came out of her room, and Allegra was like sucking on a pacifier.
Oh my gosh.
And I was just like that smile where you're just like, you don't know what to say, but you're really upset inside.
Yeah.
And Juan just like looked at me, and he gave me an awkward look, and he was just like, he just wanted to leave. He's like, I'm leaving. You fucking do this. And I'm like, no, like, dude, I need your backup. I need your support right now. And he's like, okay, this is what we're going to do. You're going to go tell her right now. Because if you don't say something, this is already awkward as it is. You're going to let it get too far, and she's going to keep doing it. She walks in, and I'm just like, she doesn't really like it. That's what I said. I was just like, yeah, she doesn't really like it. And that was me kind of trying to say, like, don't give it to her. She doesn't like it. But she was full on sucking on it. And I was just like, she's like, look it. She's like, all I had to do was just, I guess she would keep her mouth shut, because you're trying to stick some foreign object in her mouth. And she's like, all I had to do was just keep rubbing her gums with it and push it in. And I'm like, thinking to myself, like, well, yeah, if you're going to force it in there, then of course she's going to start sucking on it. So I was just like, yeah, but she doesn't really like it. And then she just kind of walked away, but she was happy. Like, my mom was so happy. And that was just
she
like,
was the one that gave it to her.
Yeah, that was just like her moment, you know? Yeah. And I just looked at Juan, and he was just like, dude. And I was like, I'm not even gonna, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm not even gonna do anything. I'm just gonna, like, get rid of it and just pretty much make sure it's not available anymore. Yeah. And he's like, no, you can't do that. Like, that's just like awkward, going about it in an awkward way. And he's like, this is what we're gonna do. You're gonna go over there right now, and you're gonna tell her. And I was like, no, I can't do that. Like, can you imagine, like, after all the things that we've already been going through, with her feeling like, you know, she's not needed because we know how to do everything now, how am I gonna do that? And he's just like, dude, like, if you don't do it now, it's going to get way worse. And I was just like, oh. So I stopped and I thought about it for a minute. And I was like, you know what? He's right. So I went over there and I knocked on her door, and I was like, Mom. And we were already like really on awkward terms because of everything else. And I was like, I need to tell you something. And she's like, what? And she's like holding the baby like away from me. So she kind of like knew. And I was like, we're not going to give her a chupon. And she's just like, why? And I was like, because we don't want to give her that. And she like grabbed her and like she pulled her like the other way, like to where I couldn't grab her. And she's like, no. She's like, why? And she's like, and she started getting like really defensive. And she's like, but why? She's like, what is it going to do? Tell me, what does it do? What does this do to them? And I was just like, Mom, like, it's not that it does anything. It's just a choice that I've made as a parent and that we've both made, and that's a choice that I can make. You know, she's my kid, and I can choose to do it however I want. She's like, I know, but so then I just kind of like grabbed the chupon like really gently. Like, I wasn't trying to be rough or like just like rip it out of her mouth. So I just grabbed it and I just kind of wiggled it out of her mouth. She was small enough to where she didn't know like what I was doing. And I just kind of placed it gently down on her little nightstand. And I was just like, we're not going to give her that. And she started bawling.
Oh my God.
And she was just like, here. And she gave me my baby. Like, she's like, here, take your baby, pretty much. Like, go. And I'm like, no, like, it's not for you to say, like, here, like, take your baby away. Like, I don't want to touch her no more. It was just me sharing with you, like, what I didn't want to do. Mm-hmm. So I took her out of the room. We went to the kitchen. I gave her to her dad, and I started crying. And I was just like, dude, like, that wasn't okay. Like, there's no right way to do it, you know? Yeah. Like, there's no right way. Like, I could be the nicest person ever and say it in the nicest tone ever, and I'm still wrong. And so I went back over there, and I told her, you know, that I didn't have any bad intentions. I wasn't trying to say anything in a rude way, that I still loved her. My kids love her. And that I want her to continue to be the best grandma that she is, and that she is the best grandma ever. But that I just wanted her to respect that, you know, and everything else that I had to do or say as a parent. And then we kind of got into like a little argument, and she was like, well, she's like, you already know that, you know, I always tell you, you know, the things that you should and shouldn't be doing. And I'm like, you know what, Mom? I told her, I'm going to tell you something, but I don't want you to get hurt or offended by it. And I said, ever since I've had Olivia, which this is normal, I'm sure that most of our parents have not done this, but I said, ever since I've had Olivia, there has not been one moment in my motherhood life where you have told me that I'm a good mom. You have never told me that I am a good mom. You've never told me I'm a bad mom, but anything that you've ever said to me is something negative, judgmental, or I told you so. And I said, so you can't blame me for just pretty much zoning you out. I don't need that negativity. I'm trying, just like you are. I'm trying to be the best mom that I know how to be, and I don't need somebody constantly judging the conscious choices that I'm making to parent my children. And I said, this is not for you to take offensively. This is not me telling you you're a bad mom. You're a great mom. You raised me to be the mom that I am today. And I said, but it just really hurts to know that you've never taken a moment to tell me that I'm a good mom. But I'm not that hurt by it, and I'll tell you why. Because I've noticed that every single moment you get to brag about your grandchildren,
I was gonna say, she's pretty like,
you're proud. You always say, well, Olivia knows how to do this.
Yeah.
And Allegra, she already goes poop in the potty. And Olivia, yeah, she speaks and she goes to preschool. And I said, and I hear you brag about them like no tomorrow. And then I hear you back it up by saying, oh, well, Vanessa and Juan, they do this and they do that. So I know you're proud, and I know you know that I'm a good mom, but you've never said it to me. And that was like my moment where I was able to say that to her, you know. And I think after that, like, she just kind of realized I guess the effects of just all the little comments, you know, building up to me feeling like that. And that wasn't me saying that she needed to be a better mom and to tell me those things, because I don't know how many of our moms have taken the time to tell us that either. So I don't blame her for that, but it just, the opposite of doing that, like, it hurt, you know.
It's really hard to raise your kids
living with your mom.
Yeah, in a shared household. Yeah.
And you always constantly feel like you're being judged. Like, they're watching over your shoulder, because they totally are.
Yeah.
Even when we're talking to our kids in the room and they're somewhere else, they're listening. You know what I mean? So you're always in the back of your mind, like, knowing someone's watching you. Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
it has its moments where you get, like, defensive about it, you know? You want to be like, don't listen to me. Just go away.
Yeah.
I know, like, this last week, Justine had the flu, and my mom works in a hospital, so she's really like, sees worst case scenario all the time. So of course she brings it home with her. Like she thinks everything is worst case. So whatever I'm trying to do with Justine, like, I feel like she's telling me I'm doing it wrong. Yeah. You know, I'm like, so, I'm doing everything. Well, take her to urgent care. I'm like, they're going to tell me exactly what I'm already doing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know what to do. Like, she's been sick before. I've been sick before. Give her lots of fluids. Let her rest. Like, it's the usual song and dance. If her fever lasts for this many days, I don't take her in. Like, her fever only lasts one day. It went away. She's okay now. Like, it's winding down. Oh, you have to take her. You have to take her. And it's like, I was telling my cousin that I just took her just so that I don't want to be like, the one time I didn't take her, it was something, mm-hmm. So it's like, like bending the knee every time, Yeah. Like, fine, I took her. Now you can't tell me I didn't take her. And you know what they told me?
The same thing that I'm already doing. Yeah. And then they're just like, Mm-hmm. You're like, what? All of that just for you
just for You know how much that visit cost?
Well, better safe than sorry.
$50
$50 for God.
Yeah. Moms.
It's tough because like communication is not just with our kids. It's like what you had to do with your mom. Like, you have to be able to voice like what you want to do, and a lot of the time, like, I tend to like, okay, my mom said, but it's like, my husband's like, no, and I'm like, you have to stand up for yourself, and have your own voice, and and then I'm standing up for him, and then it's like awkward between them, and then it's just like, this is like never ending cycle,
But I think that's just the nature of family. Like, I don't feel like it's gonna go away when we move out. I think it's just gonna be there when we see each other, But one thing that I will always, one thing that I will say is that I've always made the effort, even if I don't completely agree, to give my mom her voice and her power to manage the situation however she sees when she's with the kids. Yeah. Like, if it's not something related to their needs, I've always told Olivia, even if I do not agree with my mom's parenting skills or her behavior management skills, I have always told Olivia, I don't care what grandma says, you do it. Listen. You do it. And I think that that's my way of giving her that validation that her voice does matter. Yeah. It matters when it's just you guys, and it matters when it's us too, but mommy's matters more. Mommy's voice is more. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that's my way of saying, like, no, like, I do trust you enough to parent my kids or to take care of them because I let you do it. I'll leave them with you. And that's your stomping ground. Mm-hmm. You set whatever rules you want.
You're in charge when I'm not here. Yeah. And that's all to it.
So, like, now you're already, like, was what, 8 months?
She's 8.5 months. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. So it's flying by.
Yeah.
First birthday soon.
Yeah, soon. So she's starting to sign. She just started signing more. So she signs yes. She signs want. She signs more. And she actually verbalizes. She says with her words, she says all done.
Really?
Yeah. So
I heard her.
It's really babyish, but she does. Yeah, she really does say it. Yeah. So, and that I wasn't like going for. I wasn't prompting her to use her words or anything. I was just, we were doing a lot of all done. Because I potty her probably like, maybe like 8 or 9 times a day. So when she's all done, when it's time for us to get off the potty, then I'll sign to her all done, but I use the word with it. And so I guess she picked up on the word. And it was just one day that she was really upset because she did not want to sit on the potty. Like, she knew she didn't have to go. And so I sat her on there and she was just like, Atta. And I'm like, okay, all done. All right, let's get off the potty.
Dude, and that potty is like a whole other topic that we're going to talk about another time.
Yeah, and I'm excited to talk about it. Yeah.
Elimination communication.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that soon once you're ready. Is that mine crying?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't recognize the voice.
So it's probably the beast. So communication, we want to start like right away, right? So
yes, okay. Right away. Yeah, right away. I started talking to, not using signs, but with both of my kids, full sentences, like full on English sentences. No, don't baby talk it.
Yeah. Really I do not baby talk either.
Since they were born. Yeah, since they were born. And since the time Allegra came home. And with everything and anything, I incorporated into everything and anything. With Olivia, when she was little, I remember that I would talk to her about everything and anything throughout the whole day. I had her in the baby carrier when I was driving a lot. Olivia, we're going to go to the mall and mommy's going to buy a dress for you, and we would be going to the market. Mommy has to go to the market because I got to buy the ingredients to make your chicken noodle soup, and I'm going to buy pasta, and all the words and everything, the whole sentence. And Dad would laugh at me a lot at first.
I know. I would feel like a crazy person. Yes. Like I'm just full blown talking to my baby.
Yeah, but you know what? It's called self-talk. So when I was going to school for early childhood, they encourage it, and it's called self-talk. So it's just a lot of like you talking to yourself, but the baby picks up on all that language.
Listening to you all day long. So
they're little sponges.
They totally are.
Hi, Luna.
That's how Luna learned how to talk so fast.
Yeah, she does.
Moody Mommy Podcast.
Mommy Podcast.
You were doing that yesterday. You do that all the time.
So right away.
Talk to your babies.
Talk to your baby. Yeah. And incorporate them into the conversation too. Like a lot of times, my brother-in-law, he would laugh at me because he'd come over and Olivia was a little baby. She's like 2 or 3 months old, and I'd have her, I was holding her, and he would come up to her and be like, "Hi, mamas," and just start baby talking her. He'd be like, "Hi, ¿cómo estás?" And I would start talking back to him, but as Olivia. So I would say, "Hi, Tío, how you doing? I'm good." And he would crack up. Like, he thought it was the funniest thing in the world. And he's like, "Why do you do that? Like, she doesn't know how to talk." And I'm like, "I know she doesn't, but she's going to know really soon."
Yeah.
And, really soon she was talking to him. And he was just like, "What? That's crazy."
Yeah. It's really amazing.
You sure? Yeah, I definitely think
and they pick up on your, like, not only do they pick up on, like, just verbalizing itself, but they pick up on, like, on everything. Like, they pick up on, like, the tones. They pick up emotions. They pick up on, like, your verbiage. Like, Olivia, like, some of the words she uses, I'm like, what? Why are you saying that?
Yeah, so a lot of the things that I say in my speech that are wrong, I notice because she says it back to me. And I'm like, oh, well, how, like I always say or something. Yeah. I don't know. It's probably this or something. And
she uses it all the time.
Yeah. I don't know or something.
Yeah. Or Olivia, she'll be like, "Mom, that's like really uncomfortable. It's not making me feel good." And I'm like, "What? Like uncomfortable? Who uses that?" Or she'll be like, "Mom, don't do that. It's not appropriate."
Yeah. But like at least like the way that you talk is like you talk really well and you kind of got it together. You're so poised and like I'm a mess, and so she's like,
but it's okay. I mean, they're results of us. Yeah, they're talking. That's what matters. Yeah. So start early.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And like, be careful with how you talk.
Of course. Yeah, you want to use good words for your kids, of course.
So I don't know if I told you this or not, but the other day, Justina and I were playing, and she wanted me to be the grandma, and I started making like a funky granny voice, and she's like, "No, talk like my grandma Tisha." And I was like, "Well, what do I do? Like, what do I do?"
How does she talk?
Yeah, how do I talk like grandma?
Oh my god!
She said, "You gotta say bad words." So funny.
That's funny because she knows.
She said, "Thank you." She's like, "Oh, I know my grandma. She just uses nothing but bad words."
Yeah. I told my mom in front of my brother. My brother started dying. I told my mom got pretty upset because she's like, "I don't only say bad words. Why would she say that about me?"
Oh my god.
So you're like, you're like, they're kids. She's being honest. Yeah. You should appreciate the fact that she knows you.
But it's not even just like, you know, the bad words that we know, but it's like stupid and shut up and like that kind of stuff that Justina's like, this is not a good thing to say. So it's not just that my mom is like cussing. It's just anything that doesn't seem appropriate, she's like, those are all bad words.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
my
but
mom
isn't that so good that they
heavy
know
on
how
that.
to pick up on that? And
Yeah.
they know, like, what is okay and what's not okay.
Yeah.
And then they use it against you when they're teenagers.
Yes. The other day, the girls were in the bath, and Zoe's like, Mom, come here. And I'm like, Mom, Luna said, fucking damn it. And I'm like, what? Like, why? Why is my 2-year-old saying those words? I don't walk around the house saying that.
Yeah.
You know, a combo like that.
Like, where did she get that powerful punch from?
Yeah. And then I'm just like, okay, Zoe, like, you don't have to repeat it. Just tell me she said a bad word.
Oh, Olivia's right now, she's at the stage where she loves to repeat it. Like, she
The bad
likes to
word?
hear herself say
Say
it.
the bad.
Yeah.
That's Zoe. She was like getting the biggest kick out of saying it.
She's like, Mom, Dad just said a bad word. And she'll tell him, Daddy, don't be saying that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what did he say? And instead of just saying he said a bad word, she's like, he said fucking. And I'm like,
That's
what?
Zoe. She's like, Mom, you said shit. You're not supposed to say shit. I'm like, I know.
She had to say it twice. She had to say it twice. Like, oh my God, these kids.
I know.
These
They're just
kids
like,
are funny.
This is a free pass to say
Yeah.
a bad word.
Yeah, it is.
Calling someone out. It's okay. It's okay to use it in this instant.
And now she's starting to ask because, like, when she first started to, like, rat somebody out, she would say, Mom, Dad said a bad word. And I'm like, what? Like, we're trying to think of when we said it because we just say it so casually, right, that you don't catch yourself saying it.
Yeah.
And so me and him are like, what? So I'm like, what did he say? And then he's like, no, I didn't say a bad word. He's in the background, like, defending himself. And I'm like, well, hold on. Let me ask her, you know? And I'm like, well, what did he say? And she's like, Mom, I don't want to repeat it. It's bad. So I'm like, it's okay. Don't worry. I won't get mad at you. So that's how it starts. I'm like, don't worry. I won't get mad at you. And she's like, okay, are you sure? I'm sure, baby. He said, fucking. And I'm like, really? And then he's thinking about it. He's like, oh, you're right. I did say that. You know what? Daddy's not supposed to say that. I'm sorry. I won't say it again. And then the next time she calls us out again and she's like, Mom, you said a bad word. Well, what did I say? I don't remember saying a bad word. But you're not going to get mad at me, right? Oh. And I'm like, geez, she already knows the routine.
You're not
I'm
gonna
like,
get mad?
no, I won't get mad at
My
you.
hall pass right now.
Yeah.
Am I in the clear?
You said, remember? You said you weren't going to get mad.
It's alright.
Should we in the microphone?
So I'll leave that in. I was kidding. Everybody wants to hear crunches in the mic.
Snack time, guys.
Mhm.
Yeah.
A lot of the things that I did too, because your girls are like almost a year older.
Yeah.
Olivia's a year older. She's a little less than a year, Zoe is. So I compared a lot. Like, why isn't Justine doing this? Why isn't Justine doing that?
Yeah.
And then I would have to remind myself, like, she's a whole year younger. She's gonna be way behind. You know, like
And they're just totally different kids.
they're totally
you
different
know?
kids, yeah. But
Yeah.
like, you know, Olivia being so like here and sharing so nice. I'm like, why isn't Justine?
Why can't my kid be
Yeah.
sweet? And why can't my kid? And I know, that's how I feel about the eating thing. You know, I have Zoe gives me the hardest time
To
in
eat?
the world. to
And
eat.
Justine's like,
And Justine
such
is a
good
professional eater.
Yes.
Like, she sits, and I tell her all the time, like, why can't you be like Justine when she eats? Like, eat, you know, like, come on, like, eat like
Yeah.
Justine. Justine's a good girl. Like, she sits there and eats it all by herself, and she's, like, almost a year younger than you, Zoe.
Mhm.
Come on, you know, but I'm just like, so I
They're
get
just
it.
different
You know, you
kids,
compare,
yeah.
and it's not fair to do that
And
to
there's
them.
always a flip side to it too. Like Olivia, she's so sweet. She's so giving. She's so
Yeah.
like all inclusive of everyone. She's so sensitive. She's so like her language is just so well developed. She's super independent.
Yeah.
She's really like I mean, to me, she's like a cookie cutter kid.
Yeah.
You know, but then I'm like, what's the flip side to it? The flip side is that at school, like, there's little girls, and particularly at this point in time, there's one little girl that's just like this big bully.
Yeah.
And Olivia just will not stand up for herself. Like, she just won't.
Yeah.
This little girl's mean. Like, she's really mean to her. And Olivia, she'll just let her snatch the toy out of her hand, and she'll just be sad for a second and kind of like hang her head for a minute, have her little moment to be sad, and then she'll get up and go find something else to do. And I'm just like,
she finds
no,
something to do, though.
she finds something else to do, but like those moments of her like sitting there and being
her to
sad,
defend herself,
yeah, like
and handle it
and handle the situation, and like those moments of her being sad, like they're getting longer and longer. So like now she's like in the corner, she goes to like the little quiet cube and she cries for like 10 minutes, and I'm like, no, like you're a bully, like you're not, it's not that you just had a bad day and you were just mean for a moment.
The teachers
not yet. No, not yet, because part of, you know, like her being so independent is that she keeps telling me she doesn't want me to talk to the teacher.
Really?
And she's like, Mommy, I can handle it. I know what to do. I'm like, but you're not showing me that you know what to do, because you just keep letting them do it to you.
You're still letting her make you sad.
Yeah. So I started to talk to her about more communication, right? We're practicing more communication skills. And so I started to talk to her about self-talking with herself. So now, like, we're starting to teach her, like, a lot of, like having a conversation with herself, like when somebody's being mean or when somebody's doing something that she doesn't like and she can't control it. So now we're talking to her about, like, okay, well, this little girl, Allison, like, does Allison control Olivia? No. Allison controls Allison and what she does. She controls what she says, and she controls how she feels and what she does. But if she's making you sad, you're letting her control how you feel. You're letting her tell you how to feel. And I know that that's a big concept for a little kid to get, but I'm thinking about kindergarten. Like, she's finishing up preschool, and I got to think about kindergarten, because in kindergarten, those girls can be mean. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm like, no, like, I don't want my kid to live in a shell, you know? Like, I don't want that for her. I want her to be able to manage her way through school and through life and through the situation and not settle. And I want her to challenge whatever information is being given to her. I want her to not settle for whatever is thrown at her, you know? And so that's a work in progress, but we're talking a lot about that. And so I've noticed that she started to, like, incorporate it into, like, her little day and her routine. Hi, baby. And so the other day, like, we were trick-or-treating on Halloween, and we went with my friend and her son, and the little boy's a year older than Olivia, Noah. And he just, like, so confidently, like, would go to the houses, get his candy, and he just already knew to go to the next house. But Olivia, she kept, and it was like a really crowded sidewalk in a crowded street, and we both have babies that are like a month apart, so we're like with our bulky strollers and our toddlers and just a bunch of people, and it was like the street was super inclined, so it was just like a bunch of factors adding to the difficulty of getting trick-or-treating done. But Noah, he just knew, like, he was just like, okay, trick-or-treat, got my candy, thank you, next house. Trick-or-treat, got my candy, thank you, next house. And Olivia, she just was very, like, she just kept looking for that security. Like, she would walk up to the house, like, but very, like not confident, and she just kept looking back to find me, and there's people, like, passing in front of me, and I'm, like, trying to, like, look through them to find her too. So then I had to pull her to the side, and I was like, you know what? No one knows what to do. You go to the house, say trick or treat, get your candy, come back, I'm gonna be on the sidewalk, and then go to the next one. And that's the same thing. You keep going until we're done. Just keep doing it. Mommy's not going to leave because you keep looking for me. I see that you keep looking for me. Mommy's not leaving. Anytime you need to find me, I'm going to be here on the sidewalk. And if you can't see me, don't worry, because I can see you. Mm-hmm. And I think she just needed to hear that for her to be like, okay, like, Mommy got the rest covered. Let me just go trick or treat.
I trust the system now.
I trust it. Hey. So she came back. It's okay. And then after that one house, she's, like, holding her little bag, and she's standing in front of me, and I see her there, and she's, like, mumbling, and I'm like, what is she doing? And so I get closer to her, and she's like, okay, you can do this, Olivia. It's okay. Let's go. You can do it. You can do it. We're gonna go trick-or-treating. Let's go. Don't forget to say trick-or-treat. And she's, like, self-talking herself to go get her little candy. And I'm like, oh, my baby. Like, she's learning. Yeah. You know, so I'm teaching her how to do that, too. I think that that's really important, is for us to communicate with ourselves, to have that, like, reflection time.
Yeah. See, you know all the tricks.
Mm-hmm. So we needed you on here.
And still learning along the way.
But you're ahead of me, so I could learn.
Yeah. I don't know when because I'm still learning a lot. You guys are ahead of me on a lot. But I have a big project that I'm working on.
Yes, tell us about it.
So I'm not going to share too much, but it's going to be it's a big work in progress, but it's going to be a place for all parents, mommies, daddies, and everybody in between to come to and just kind of like build a community of parents learning together. So once I'm ready, that's all I can say for now. But once I'm ready to share what it is, I'll definitely keep you guys in the loop so you can spread the word for me.
No, you're gonna come back on and tell us.
Yeah,
all about
I'll come back on and I'll tell you about it. Yeah. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for
thank you for having me.
This long journey with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It makes me feel good to know that
we need each other. We got to raise these girls to breathe fire.
Yes, we do.
We really do.
Yeah.
They're so good. I mean, they've come out a couple times, but like
yeah.
They're not
like
fighting. Yeah, you know, it's so funny. I told my mom this. I'm like, I got to mention this to Jessica today when we're doing the podcast. I'm like, yesterday, you know, we were here. How many kids were here? It's Justine, Carly, Carly, baby Alex. It was like, what, 5 of them or so? And I was just thinking, like, we were actually able to talk like adults last night. Did you notice that? Like, we all sat at the table and we were talking. The kids were watching cartoons for like a minute, and then I looked back and they were in the room playing. And not once did any of us have to stop and get up and go break up a little fight. Like, I told my mom, like, oh my gosh.
They're growing up.
They're growing up where like they are in there. They're not really fighting as much. Or maybe if they are fighting over something, they're handling it themselves now. You know, I said.
They're like recognizing who was a baby. Like, I need to help him.
Yes. So let's be gentle with baby Alex because he's in here, you know? So it's like.
That's good.
It was crazy because I was like, wow, we actually had like a little bit of adult time. We were, you know, we sat around, had our conversations, and they weren't very interrupted last night. Like, they really weren't. So I'm like,
that's
working.
Good.
Communication is working, you know.
Yeah.
We're teaching these girls and we're doing something right, I guess.
I know, right?
Like, only time will tell.
Yeah, only time will tell. And then once we get there, I think that we all have to remind ourselves now and continue to tell ourselves that whatever the end result is, you just come back to the same question. Did you do your best?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And that's all you could do.
Yeah.
You can't control the rest of it, you know? Because before we know it, they're going to be teens and doing something that we don't agree with or we're not too happy about. But as long as you did your best, and that's all you can send them off with.
Yeah. Very, very true.
Thanks, Vanessa.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So we'll be hearing from you very soon.
I hope. I hope, because it's a lot of work. Yeah.
Yes. You'll get there. All right. Until next time, find us everywhere on Google. And don't forget to stay moody.
Say Moody Mommies.
Moody Mommies.
Moody Mommies podcast.